Hey, it's Jessie from Squeegee Ink, and in this video I'm going to show you how we print the best film positives possible for screen printing. I'm going to show you exactly what printer this is because I get asked all the time. I'm going to show you how we've adapted it from a normal inkjet printer into an all black ink system. We've loaded it up with just pure black ink. I'm also going to show you exactly how we use the different types of software and RIP to be able to make these, which are the best film positives that we can possibly make. So if you print your own film positives at home, you'll be able to get lots of really useful information on how a professional studio produces these positives, and you might be able to implement some of those things into your own setup. This is the shirt we're going to be printing in this video, and remember, we fund the YouTube channel through the sale of our Blind Maggot merch, and all of our Squeegee viewers can get a massive £10 off at checkout when they enter the word Squeegee. Before I show you how we print our positives, I'm just going to show you some of the things that we're aiming for in a good film positive. So we want nice black ink, and what that's going to do is block the UV light from reaching the light sensitive emulsion on our screens. We want there to be really nice close contact between the film positive and the screen, so therefore we don't want to be doubling up our film positives to try and block the light out, because that can cause like undercutting. We also want our film positives to be really consistent in our exposure, so having them laid out on templates even helps with that. And also we want nice sharp details. So we're going to be able to achieve all those things by using the correct software, a good inkjet printer, and some high quality film. We use the Epson SureColor T7-200 for our film positives. Some of the reasons that we've picked this printer are that it prints on the roll, and that's really handy for us because it means that there's less like manual loading of the films. It also prints a very wide 44-inch roll. So that is really handy for some of our customers who are printing huge screens, because we send film positives out all over the country, and also it means that we can do some really big poster printing in-house when we want to. And there's lots of other reasons. This printer happens to work, and it's very compatible with lots of different software. So it works with our RIP, it works with our separations, and we're able to load an all black ink system into there by taking out the cartridges, or just never putting in the correct cartridges, loading it up with an all black ink system, and then just depositing 5 channels of pure black ink onto our positives. We believe that an inkjet printer is much better than a laserjet printer when it comes to printing film positives, and some of the reasons are that we can lay down as much ink as we want, and I'll show you that in the droplet weight test that I do later. The maintenance on this printer is extremely easy. It might also be that we run it constantly, so the ink is always flowing and definitely doesn't have any chance of drying in. And it's been extremely good value for money. It was relatively cheap, even though it's huge, and you can definitely find some smaller compact size Epson printers for your setup, because you're probably not going to have this much room or the need to print that wide on the roll. Conventionally, when you get one of these big inkjet printers, they assume that you're wanting to do full colour artworks. So what they want you to do is to fill up your printer with cyan, magenta, yellow and black, and this one even has 2 types of black. However, I want to make this an all black ink system. So I want to fill up all my cartridges with the most cost effective and purest black that I possibly can, so that when I press print, it hits 5 different cartridges of black all at once when I'm printing, instead of just using one of these ink cartridges, because all of those would just get flushed into a maintenance tank and it's a huge waste of money. So this is how I set up my all black system. I need to give you a really big warning here, because as soon as you do this, which is on day 1 of you getting your inkjet printer, you're completely ruining your warranty for your printer. So because you're kind of like hacking it a little bit, you kind of just have to take that risk on yourself. I'm not telling you to do this, I'm just showing you what I do because I get asked so much. So when you get your printer, you get these like little small ink cartridges. I haven't even opened mine up because I don't want any of this ink getting into my ink lines on my printer. So they've just stayed in the packet. I should have probably sold them, but they're over there. What you're going to need is some nice big refillable tanks. So the bigger they are, the less you have to refill them and the more economical it is. And the less risk you get of running out of ink and getting air into the tubes on your printer. So you'll need a set of compatible refillable ink cartridges, and then they come with a set of chips, and these chips read as full on your ink cartridges, so that when the printer reads it, it'll think that that's a full, normal, genuine ink cartridge. Then you'll need some compatible Epson pigment ink. I go for photo black because that's really, really dense. And then you're also going to need a tub. That's to decant the ink and syringe it out. And saying that, you'll need a syringe. So this one is really useful because you can quickly fill the cartridge up and you can extract a little bit of the air out, which I'm going to show you in a minute. A funnel is useful. You also need some double-sided tape to just make sure that the chips are really secure on your cartridges, and a scalpel, definitely some gloves, and a surface that you don't mind getting a bit of ink on. Another thing you're definitely going to need is some digital scales, and that's to keep the weight of all your cartridges really consistent so you know that they're all filled up the same amount. The first thing to do is not put these in your printer. So don't install the cartridges that come along with the printer, because if this ink gets into your fill when you're loading the printer for the first time, getting this ink out is incredibly difficult. You're going to have to flush all the lines and it's going to cost a lot of money and take a lot of time. The second thing that I just find really handy, if you're not very coordinated with using a funnel, is to decant the pigment that you've got into a big tub, fill it right the way up, and then it just means that you can syringe out the ink much quicker. The next thing is to anticipate how heavy you want to make these cartridges. So we're aiming for around the 700 gram mark, which is what we anticipate a full chip reading to be on the printer. So by that I mean if we've got 700 grams of ink as the weight of our cartridge once we filled it up, then we anticipate that to be read by the printer as full, and then we can kind of gauge when it's getting empty. I never let it get really close to empty. I always just top them up again and replace the chips when they run out. Another thing we found by doing this quite a few times is that these syringes are really handy for not only loading the ink into this front tab there, but also the most important thing is priming your ink cartridge. So what I mean by that is you're actually going to be adding air to the cartridge bag when you're filling it up. And then you don't want that air to be sucked into the tubes in your Epson printer. So you go around the back of the cartridge into this little hole at the back, and you can syringe out the excess air. And how that looks is basically the cartridge fills up with a little bit of air, a little bit more, it's quite high pressure, and then eventually you get some of the ink flow into the cartridge. Then you stop, and that just means that your whole cartridge is filled right up with ink, and then you're not going to put an air bubble into your ink system. I'm going to fill up my ink cartridges now, and then once I've cleaned up, I'll show you how we put the little chips on. When it comes to priming the ink cartridge at the back, I don't want any of this ink getting into the area with the chip. So I just put a couple of strips of masking tape over it very loosely, just to protect this area here. I've now cleaned up my area again, put down new paper, because now we're going to be putting the chips in. I'm putting the corresponding chip in with the replacement cartridge, and a little tip that I use is these chips are very small and they need to be put in quite precisely. So I use a bit of double-sided sticky tape to hold them in place for when I'm loading the ink cartridges back in the printer. The media we print onto in the studio is called screen printing output film roll, but we just call it film or acetate or even positives. And the special things about this kind of film are that it's slippy and smooth on one side, and on the other side it's got a coating. That coating allows the ink to grip onto the surface and print nice dense positives, and the graininess on one side also allows the rollers to keep hold of it, so that when you're printing continuously, all your film positives are going to line up because the printer can print onto each separation really accurately. We get our film along with loads of other supplies from Screen Print World using our discount code CLP5. We use AccuRIP software when we're outputting film and printing from Illustrator. Now, the RIP software is a really important little bit of software, and what it does is it tells the printer how many of the ink cartridges to use, how much ink to lay down, and you can even dictate how halftones are going to appear once you've printed your film. All of those things are really, really important for outputting the film positives, and it's just a really quick little bit of software that works a treat for us. In the studio, we personally are using AccuRIP Black Pearl. This is because our printer is very large and some of the new softwares aren't quite compatible with the newest versions of the software. I'm actually working on a discount code for you guys, so check out the description to see if I've got it yet, for you to get some money off your software as well. And yeah, you'll need to double check that the software and the printer that you're using are compatible so you can use them. Just to show you one of the things that the RIP software can do, I'm going to do a droplet weight test. This is where it puts down a variety of different amounts of ink onto the film. This is just going to check that I've got all my settings correct, my film and all my ink is working really well, and that all my lines are pumping ink and there aren't any air bubbles in my lines on my printer. To do a droplet weight test, you do that from within AccuRIP. You simply go File and then select Droplet Weight Density Test Print. You click that and it sends that over to the printer to quickly print out all the different variations of droplet weight to pick from. I just want to quickly show you around this bit of software quickly. So you can set things like the media, so I've got it set to roll. I've got a 17-inch roll for most of my printing, and I can go all the way up to 44. Then this is the really cool bit, which is called the ink setup, and I've got multi-black ticked. That means that it's going to use every single one of my cartridges as black and lay down loads of ink. I can also set the print resolution and estimate where my droplet weight is going to be. Let's print the droplet weight test and see how it comes out. From doing my droplet weight test, I can determine that the RIP is working really well, and also that doing a droplet weight of 15 is way too much ink and number 1 isn't enough. So as usual, I'll go for I think I'm going to go for droplet weight 8. I'm going to put that in the software, and that's the density of ink I'm going to use for all my positives. When it comes to separating layers for screen printing, we've actually started using Separation Studio NXT. I used to manually do it a lot in Illustrator, where I separated the artwork into lots of different layers for all the screens. However, this has sped up production massively, and some of the other things that I've found by using it is that it reduces my human error. It means that I don't have to manually put my artwork onto templates. Again, that's just quicker, and it also has a lot of inbuilt features specifically for screen printers, such as like being able to quickly assign all the different Pantone colors, quickly put in like all the different garments in the backdrop, and also it just works with the RIP software because it's the same people making it, and it all just works really seamlessly. It even plots all the different images on my film. So we found that we came to a point where we were printing so many different shirts, especially for Blind Maggot, that it was taking me a really long time to separate the artwork. So now it's much cleaner and quicker. The guys at Separation Studio NXT have sorted out some discount codes for you guys, and you can also do the free trial temporarily before you buy, and I explain all about the discount codes in the description below. Let me give you a really quick overview of Separation Studio NXT in action on this Blind Maggot t-shirt. This is what Separation Studio NXT looks like, and I have my wilderness artwork already loaded up. So it's going to do a quick separation for you automatically and load in some colours at the bottom. So this particular view is all of the layers together, and then you can quickly isolate the different layers to make sure there isn't anything weird happening, like extra yellow going up here or anything. So mine's just a simple 4-colour image at the moment, but I do want to put in an underbase. So if I put the whole image together, I can actually just quickly go into base, and I want the underbase to go under everything. So this is how easy it is to do an underbase. You literally just ask it to combine all the layers, dictate the choke, so I'm going to have it as 0.3 for us, and apply it, and it just throws it in right there. So you can just click on the layer, double check it's all nice, and there's a really cool feature just there. The other thing you could do is quickly swap out what the garment colour looks like underneath. This is useful in case you're doing lots of different garment colours for a particular job. So at the moment I've got Russell, so it's actually even pre-loaded in some of the most popular shirts. So I'm going to go for Russell Black for this one, but if I was to change that to yellow, for example, I can press the little t-shirt and see what my image looks like on a yellow t-shirt. I'll put it back to black because that's much better. And the best thing for us has been the use of this Pantone bit. So it's got lots of different ink mixing systems preloaded, but the one that we're using a lot now is the Pantone. So if you determine that this orange wasn't great and you wanted to use a very specific Pantone colour, you can go ahead, find your Pantone in this list. So I'm going to go for 172 because that's what I've got mixed up. And I can say I want Pantone 172 to be assigned to this layer here. So I can press the ink little symbol, and then I can pick the separation that I want that to go on, which is this 1585, which is here. Press OK, and then it'll change it in the live view. So it kind of went like for this richer, darker colour. Once you're happy with all your separations, you can literally just press print. It'll send it through the RIP software and print your film positives for you. It's also going to automatically put it onto a template, so it's even got reg marks that you've pre-assigned. I'm going to output my film now, and we're going to print these shirts. As you can see, the t-shirts came out great. The screen's exposed really easily, and that's all down to our film positives being really thick and blocking out all the UV light and being printed by this top of the range printer. If there's anything you want to get for your studio, we've got some discount codes for you. So we've got Squeegee at checkout if you want to buy one of these shirts from the blindmaggot.co.uk website. That will get you £10 off. We've also negotiated some discount codes through Sep Studio NXT, and I'm going to write those codes in the description below. And lastly, if you want to get your hands on some of the film, you can get that from Screen Print World, and as usual, the discount code for Screen Print World is CRP5. I really hope you found the content in this video useful, and if you could please like and subscribe to the video, that really helps out the channel and encourages us to make more videos about screen printing.